The man the Spanish colonists hated became known as father to the Indians. On this day, July 31st, 1566, Bartolomé de las Casas died in Spain. But thousands of miles away in Central America, indigenous communities mourned his passing and lit fires in his honor. To them, he had been a true friend. Ironically, Las Casas had not always defended the native peoples. After arriving in the New World in 1502, he accepted a plantation worked by forced indigenous labor and even took part in Spanish expeditions against them. But everything began to change. Dominican friars openly condemned the cruelty of the Spanish settlers. Then, while reading scripture in 1514, Las Casas became convinced that Christians had no right to seize native lands or treat human beings with such brutality. He freed his own enslaved workers and boldly urged other colonists to do the same. Most refused, so Las Casas sailed back to Spain to plead directly with the king. He reminded the Spanish crown that its authority in the New World had been granted on the condition that the indigenous peoples would be evangelized, not abused. The king appointed him protector of the Indians, but powerful plantation owners resisted nearly every reform he proposed. Still, Las Casas refused to give up. For the next 50 years, he defended indigenous communities through preaching, writing, and repeated journeys to the Spanish court. Unlike many missionaries of his day, he insisted that people should never be forced into Christianity. Faith, he argued, must be accepted freely through understanding, not through violence or fear. His efforts helped inspire the new laws of 1542, which sought to protect indigenous peoples from some of the worst abuses of the colonial system. Although many colonists simply ignored the laws, Las Casas continued speaking out. As Bishop of Chiapas in present-day Mexico, he even refused to grant absolution to slave owners unless they freed those they had enslaved and made restitution for what they had taken. His stand made him many enemies. When indigenous revolts eventually broke out against Spanish oppression, critics blamed Las Casas, but after defending himself before the Spanish court, the king concluded that the true cause of the uprisings was Spanish cruelty, not Las Casas' teaching. A few days before his death, he wrote one final appeal against the injustice inflicted on the indigenous peoples, warning that such cruelty had brought dishonor to the name of Christ and hindered the spread of the gospel. Bartolomé de las Casas was far from perfect, but after recognizing his own failures, he spent the rest of his life defending those he had once helped oppress. That is why history remembers him as father to the Indians.